Hey guys. Yeah, I thought I'd come on here. I got about 7 minutes to go, 8 minutes to go before I have to clock in. I've been here since about 8:17, but of course, when you try to do a video, you kind of have to redo it because sometimes you fumble over your words or you got a lot of interruptions or whatever. And especially if it's out in public like this before you start work. So, anyway. Okay, I was just checking something. Anyway, I thought I'd come on here and I wanted to... Hold on. Sorry about that, see what I mean? See, a little bit, you want to do a video but you get interrupted in public and all that. Anyway, what I was saying is I wanted to come on here and talk about Geoffrey's Toy Box. In case you guys don't know what Geoffrey's Toy Box is, it is the new rebranded name for Toys R Us. The people that basically own Toys R Us, the lenders, the loaners, whatever you want to call it, as you probably have heard by now, ended the bankruptcy. And it decided to go in a different direction to try to revive the toy brand, basically the toy business, the toy brand, or the toy store brand, the store brand, I should say, that they're known for. And when I hear about this name change, and I'm just checking time there. When I hear about this name change, it kind of gets me that. When I hear it, it feels like it correlates with what I talked about when I first talked about, Toys R Us possibly coming back. And that is the fact that it sounds like the direction they possibly will go in that I talked about, and I'm sure others have pointed out, even after they heard about the name change or the rebranding name, is to go in a direction where they, from a physical store standpoint, have the stores, basically, what I'm trying to say, from a physical store standpoint, the places that they hold the businesses in, that they sell the toys in, are going to be much smaller than the buildings a lot of people are used to seeing Toys R Us, the Toys R Us business take place in. So let's say you're used to that big building where that you've always known Toys R Us to be at, where you live, or at least close to your proximity. Well, you can pretty much forget about that building ever being used for Toys R Us again, because I think what's going to happen, just like I say, from the name change alone, and kind of correlating maybe with what I was saying. Hold on. Well, like I was saying, kind of correlating with what I was talking about when I first mentioned it about a week or two ago, is I think the direction they're going in is going to be using buildings that are half the size of these. Yeah, you see this building that I work in here, it's a big one. So imagine half of that, or even maybe 3/4 of that, or I wouldn't say a fourth, imagine a fourth of that, imagine basically maybe 25%, if not 50% at most, of this building cut in half, and that half is used for basically Toys R Us, or for Geoffrey's Toy Box. Imagine that. Imagine that for a moment, that half this building here is cut in half, and possibly the smaller half is used, and possibly the smaller half, which a lot of people would assume is the grocery half, is basically used for Toys R Us. That is what you're looking at, possibly. Or imagine, imagine a neighborhood market, which it's an expansion of my company. It mostly focuses on grocery. Imagine a neighborhood market store as Geoffrey's Toy Box. That's basically the size of the building that I think they're aiming for. Why, you might ask? Well, it's quite simple. It's quite simple. The smaller venue that they could utilize from a physical in-store perspective, to sell the toys and whatever toy-related merchandise they can come up with, is a lot cheaper to go with, a lot more affordable to go with, and it's been proven through the outlets that they've even had inside malls that a smaller venue, a smaller area for Toys R Us is probably better suited. It really is. So when I heard the news that they had rebranded Toys R Us as Geoffrey's Toy Box, I pretty much started thinking along the lines that what I talked about, as I mentioned, what I talked about in that video where I was talking about the revival of Toys R Us coming back, was pretty much a done deal. Because think about it this way. There's a lot of mom and pop toy shops out there around this country and around the world. And we know that when KB Toys was around, they weren't in the biggest of areas, right? They were mostly mall related, mall associated, and if not, they were their own thing. But the buildings that they had the businesses reside in were not that big. So my speculation is the rebranding of the name is just from Toys R Us to Geoffrey's Toy Box, indicates, in my opinion, that they're going to start focusing on having the physical stores for Geoffrey's Toy Box be a lot smaller than what they've had before. It's not going to be the size of something like this. No, it's going to be a lot smaller. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the fact that it's going to be like 1/4 or 2/4 the size of a building like this. That's what I'm looking at. About 1/4 to 2/4 the size of a building like this. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, it'll be a decent size, but don't expect Geoffrey's Toy Box to reoccupy the buildings that Toys R Us was once in. Expect those buildings not to probably be used that much, and if they are, expect that building to be split down the middle into two businesses. One being Geoffrey's Toy Box, and one being somebody else's company or somebody else's business. That's how I see it probably happening. But as far as the name change goes for the brand, they could call it Geoffrey's Toy Box all they want, but I think in the long run, we're still going to be referring to it as Toys R Us. Because if you have that giraffe as your mascot still, then yeah, you can change the name, you can change the logo, it's still going to be Toys R Us. The only thing they're going to do, like I said, is they're going to probably, like you can see those buildings right there, with the Little Caesars, that Sally, and that Great Clips is, and that Verizon. That size of a building, or probably just between the Sally and the Verizon, that's probably right there. That's probably the size of what Geoffrey's Toy Box is going to be. That's pretty much what you're looking at. Is that kind of a size building between the Sally and the Verizon? You're looking at basically that size of a building for Geoffrey's Toy Box. That's the feeling I get with the name change. That's the direction they're going to go in. Because what makes more sense? Makes more sense when you're naming your company a Toy Box. Having it in a big building like this, or having it in a building that kind of correlates with the name, with the new name change. Ask yourself that. So that's all I'm really going to say on it, folks. But again, as far as the name change goes, as long as they still have Geoffrey the giraffe as a mascot, they can name it Geoffrey's Toy Box all they want. They can name it anything they want. It's still going to be Toys R Us to us. So that's all I'm going to say. Let me know what you think. I got to clock into work, and I'll talk to y'all later.